presentation, Part 2, Civil 3D Style Creations with Sterling Systems. My name is Chad Suter. I'm Vice President of Technical Services. I've been using Civil 3D since the very first version in 2004. And I must admit, the very first time Autodesk presented this software to me, I understood that styles was going to be very important to everyone. And it was so overwhelming. And at that point, I knew Land Desktop inside and out. I've been training it for years. I honestly was ready to go do something else. There was just too many options, too many settings, and it was just overwhelming. Luckily, I stuck with it, like I hopefully advise all of you to do. Once you understand the functionality of styles and what we're looking to get out of it, it makes the entire program very simple to utilize. And it's like going up a little hill, and when you get down the other side of it, I promise you that it all makes sense, and it is very, very easy, and you'll be very happy to use stuff with it. So we, as I learned in 2004, we started implementing it and had users actually start doing training back in 2006. And it's not software that you can just use out of the box. So what we started doing is figure out how do we implement this for our users? How do we build the styles? How do we make it so they can just get up and running instantly? And Autodesk actually had us get certified, and they called it ICE, implementing the software certifications. So I've actually been helping customers and clients get up and running on this software since 2006. I've trained in over 22 states. I've been using AutoCAD with VersaCAD and AutoCAD 9 and all the releases since then. If you have any questions, I also have a Civil 3D blog that you can take a look at. You can just Google Civil 3D Guru. It's called Civil 3D Convergence. One of the things you'll notice up there is I definitely talk about slew arounds. Anybody that's been using software for a long time, there's always different ways, innovative ways, or different ways to get around solutions for what you didn't think the software could do or maybe wasn't meant to do. So we always go with workarounds. So as a solution to a workaround, I call them slew arounds. And I'm going to kind of point that out as we go along through the software as well. And I really want to encourage everybody as we go through here to open up and ask questions. I can't promise I'm going to talk and discuss every one of them, but I will try and answer them on the fly. Make sure you type them in the window. It should pop up on my screen, and I'll try and discuss them as we go. But if not, definitely shoot me an email and get back to you afterwards. And feel free to shoot me any emails as well on questions that you think about afterwards, or maybe you're struggling with, and I'll try and help you out as well. At Sterling Systems, just a quick introduction PowerPoint. We'll get started here. We provide Autodesk software, so all the AEC software, AutoCAD, Revit, Civil 3D, Map, both design suites. And we also help clients, users implement the software. So in other words, from that transition of what you're used to doing every single day to the new software that you want to get up and running on. So we specialize in that, and we take a lot of pride in being here for you. And we also do consulting services, so maybe it's just a little bit of project guidance. We come on site, you just have a unique project, and you just haven't thought about how Civil 3D could maybe get you over this hurdle or resolve your cut and fill volumes for a unique situation. And we'll come out, we can actually take control of your computer from our location here in Scottsdale, or come on site. We can help with network installations, pretty much anything. A lot of consulting services we do is for high definition laser scanning as well. Training solutions, just wanted to point out, we have a training center that you're more than welcome to come here and join an open enrollment training, but we also specialize and put a lot of importance on specializing customized training for your firm. So you don't have to learn the entire product. Maybe you guys specialize just roadway design or maybe site design. So we'll specialize the training just for that. We'll actually bring laptops on site and focus it. Typically we try and keep class sizes to 8 to 10 users, just to keep the focus in there. And the more people, the slower it gets. But we definitely can come on site and help you out with that. Support solutions, again, we're available by phone, email, and we even do online support, again, where we take control of your screen. And we specialize in like HDS scanning. If you've never seen a scanner, definitely let us know. We'll come out, present it to you. Basically, it's like a total station on steroids. You set it up in the middle of a room or outside on a roadway. And the idea is it goes around at 360 degrees, 270 degrees, and anything it sees, 1,000,000 points a second up to 900 feet, it will capture XYZ coordinates and they call it a point cloud, and they bring all the data right into your screen. And as you can see there, there's a picture of a parking lot. The scanner was actually set right here in the center of the parking lot. Anything you could see, it brought into the screen in Civil 3D, and then I actually created a topo with that data. So I actually have a field book that was brought in and processed on top of that point cloud. And the best part is I can see, as a surveyor, missed any of the parking lines, the trees, utilities, everything. It's like I'm at the field to help verify that. So let's go ahead and jump into here. Let's get started. Civil 3D. This is actually the 9th version. It's been around forever, it feels like, at this point. So I apologize if I skip over some things that maybe you were really looking to hear. Feel free again to speak up. I've just been doing this a long time. I've really got used to the software at this point. And a couple of things I just want to spend a little bit of a point out here as we get going. The interaction between 2D and 3D data. Make sure you take a look at this as we go through the software. Think about how you design pipe networks in the past. In AutoCAD or Land Desktop, any software, you just draw it in 2D plan view. You have manholes, catch basins, structures, pipes. Well, now if you take that in Civil 3D and you flip it, and you're going to have to remind me because I always forget to do this, but in your utility view, if you flip this in 3D, this is actually what you see. You actually see structures, pipes. You actually can tell the different sizes and the different types of structures. Maybe it's a run-out or a different type of structure. You'll actually see a parametric part object in there to help you see that. The other one to kind of sum up Civil 3D, what is scenarios? The idea is it's all collaborative now. If I move an invert, if I change the roadway design, if I move the horizontal alignment, I think this sums it up the best. Move the mouse, move the road, Autodesk Civil 3D, and hopefully at this point you've seen that. It's very powerful. Move the horizontal, move the vertical, all of your cross-sections, your volumes, everything automatically updates. Move an invert or move a structure in plan view, all the labels update. If you move the invert, the slope changes or the length changes. Whatever the information is, it's all collaborative. If you change the manhole in plan view, it automatically updates it in profile view and on all of your tables as well. So I think you guys get the idea. And again, a little bit of my background, I've been doing it through manual drafting all the way through, and just to kind of show you how far the program has came. And in 2012, they released the Infrastructure Design Suite, which basically they bundled a software. It already comes with AutoCAD, AutoCAD Map, and of course Civil 3D. But if you get the Ultimate Suite, it actually comes with Navisworks Manage as well. So it allows you to bring in Revit design software, point clouds, and you can do clash detection. And it's a really great software that you almost get for free once you bundle it in that package. And also you get Max, if you've ever heard of that, Max 3D from Autodesk to help you with your rendering and your animations. All right, that's it for the sales side. Let's get down and dirty now with the Civil 3D part. So everybody understands a little bit different than what we've had in the past. Civil 3D is new technology. We have the object-oriented architecture, the foundation of Civil 3D. To give you an idea, you have one object. If you used Land Desktop in the past, you created a surface, you created contours. If you ever sent those contours to somebody, they sometimes said they couldn't see it. They had to have an object enabler to see those. But remember when you labeled the contours, you could flip it 90 degrees. All the contours automatically updated. If you changed the elevations of the surface, all the contour labels automatically updated. Well, now in Civil 3D, every single object updates with that same intelligence that we had just a piece of in Land Desktop. So I want you to look forward to that. And the best way that I describe this and to have a little bit of fun with this, I use Mr. Potato Head to describe that. It's one object. You can dress them up however you want to. You put different eyes, ears on them. As you can see there, I put the feet, the hands, a little bit different idea. And this kind of sums it up in technical terms. This is a surface. How do we dress that surface up? One object, how do we display it? To display it, we create styles. And that's going to be the focus of the presentation today. But not only on the styles, because styles is just a small part of getting you started. If I focus just on styles, you go back to your computer and you start building styles, but it's a lot more than that because you have to understand how to get started, what properties to use, and it's just the initial setup is what I want to give you today and get you started with those styles as well. So now instead of memorizing 100 different settings, you define everything once in the initial setup, and define in these styles, and you're done. It's all saved in the template, and you just put it out there for your users, and every single user can open it up and apply these settings, which again is going to enforce your drafting standards. It's going to maintain it. You can't have renegade users any longer. It's going to lock those into those surfaces. So if I have an existing ground surface, I pick existing ground style, I get the right contours, the right colors, the right line types. If I pick proposed, I get that. If I want to see a tin, it shows me the tin with 3D lines. If I want to see highest to lowest elevation, I just pick it. It shows me that range automatically. And then one thing to point out are the settings. The settings are what I see neglected the most. And back in previous versions of Civil 3D, 2007, 2008, even 2009, companies just weren't understanding that they had to spend the time in the settings as well. And it's where I definitely encourage maybe either consulting with us or even having us do it, because I know I've been there where you guys are. It's a big struggle when you first learn how to do this. I'm bundling 9 years of Civil 3D content into a 90-minute presentation for you to let you ease that frustration of everything I had to go through to learn this. But settings are really the key to get off to a great start and to keep everything very simple in Civil 3D. So we're going to spend a lot of time on that. And the biggest hurdle with settings is the hierarchy. So I'm going to stress that as well as we go through here. So one of the things you probably already noticed in Civil 3D, unlike all the other products, you can get AutoCAD, you open up out of the box, you install it, and you are good to go. Lines, arcs, circles. The hardest part is getting your layers in there, and the layers you saved into a template, right? Hopefully you guys did in the past. So one version to the next, you have the same layer name, same color, same line types, same blocks, same title block, right? Civil 3D will do the exact same thing, but out of the box, there's no way they could customize this for a million different engineering firms all over the world, because then everybody's information is going to look exactly the same. And like you know, with an artist, artists are famous for their paintings or their work, and you can look at a painting and you can tell who that is by how they did that artwork. Same thing with Civil 3D. Engineering firms have their own standard, and you drive work by putting out a certain documentations or construction document a certain way, and you're known for that. So Civil 3D is not ready to go out of the box, and I'm going to show you how to get that started. And if anybody still has it on the shelf, let's open it up and let's get this started here. So out of the box, why it doesn't work? Well, you have a couple options. We're really going to get into this more as we get started. But the first one, you have to start with just to give you some content to get you in the right direction, is the National CAD Standard template. Well, the problem is it works great for the Army Corps of Engineers that developed this. They had multiple divisions in their company, but it's awfully layer extensive. It's overwhelming, and it's not your layers. And everybody knows that if you started a new company, the hardest thing you ever had to do was understand new layers and new concepts. And that's why you get renegade users. So out of the box, if I want to create what's called point styles, we'll focus on that as well. These are the only ones I can choose from. The rest have to be developed. If I want to do labels and with points, anything besides this, I have to develop. If I want the point elevation description, just like land desktop with the different colors, I have to develop that. You can pretty much create just about any style you want now in Civil 3D. It's just a matter of jumping in there and creating that. So I will give you a wide variety of different ways to focus on these, but you can drag them out. You can have leader lines now. Again, very comprehensive package in there to develop whatever you want. But you got to be careful what you ask for. We want to be able to do this. We want to be able to do that. Oh, what if I could do this? Well, now we can do all those things, but somebody has to manage it and actually set it up in the first, just to get you started. All right, so surface styles, this is it. You can do borders. You can do contours. You can do 3D lines with contours, highest, lowest elevation, and highest, lowest slopes. We can blow that out of the water, right? We can do watershed styles. We can change the colors, the contours, the intervals of the contours. We got to take this to the next level, though, and we have to turn this into our company standards and styles. Some different alignment styles you might want to create. How do you do your stationing? Every time, maybe in land desktop, you have to say perpendicular or parallel. I want this decimal places. All that stored in there, all the text types, everything's stored for you in here. Inside Civil 3D, we're also create corridors. Out of the box, this is what it looks like. We're going to jump into this too. This talks about code set styles. Inside code set styles, they use links. Links are great for design, but I don't want to plot them and I don't want to use them. So how about as soon as I create that corridor, it would look like this. Or maybe we change the colors to look like yours. But you see there's a huge difference. And this is what it takes to make Civil 3D work for you The next one, a client came to me and he goes, I love this intersection design wizard. This is fabulous. I walk right through, I create my intersection in less than 2 minutes. I don't like the output that I get. This is using the National CAD standard because he had all the labels defined for all the stationing. There's a ton of offset labeling when you design an intersection. I had no clue what he was talking about. He sent me a picture. I could not believe that it looked like this. A couple, maybe 10 minutes, I was able to go in, configure the settings for him, and you can turn it around and make it look like this. That's the settings and styles and where we're going forward here. So these are the goals for today, and let's go ahead and get started on that. So again, the agenda, we're going to start with templates. You make sure you get a good template. I'm going to get you off to the races here, showing you how to do that. I apologize to anybody that's already started that maybe didn't make these decisions, but maybe it's not too late, and we can help you as well. We're going to talk about settings, styles, commands, templates. We're going to go back to templates because we've got to start a template and the template. I didn't break it down here, but for your styles, we have an entire list of things to talk about. Points, alignments, surfaces, profiles, and I believe code sets, and we're going to try and squeeze in utilities. So I'm going to get going, and let's get talking as much as we can and get through as much material as we can as we go through. 3 templates are available to you. The first one is a CAD template, an AutoCAD template. You'll notice in there. The problem with this would be if you open up AutoCAD right out of the box and you started using the CAD template, there's no layers in there, so everything you draw would be on layer 0 and everything would be white. Same with the AutoCAD template. The only styles you have are standard. So everything you design or show is going to be white. This is not going to work for you. This is how we advised customers back in 2006 to do it and to build all of your content completely from scratch. That was a lot of work, and you really had to know what you're doing. Now we suggest that you use the National CAD standard template. I know some of you just cringed out there because the problem with National CAD template is, I'm going to show you in a minute, is way too many layers, way too many colors. It gets very messy to manage. If you want more information about the National CAD Standards template, you can go to your website and take a look at that as well. But the goal is to start with the National CAD Standards template. I'm going to show you in a couple of seconds a slew around that you can clean it all up, manage it, and then we're going to save it as your custom template. And you can do that along with me pretty much today if you're sitting by a computer, or just jot down this desk because it's very, very simple. And then the goal is to bring in your layers to this to match up the styles and to take a look at the layers and settings. So let's jump over to the program. I just started Civil 3D 2012. I'm going to go up here, click New. In this list, everybody's going to have an ACAD template. I'm going to open this real quick just to show you what not to do. As I open this up, the first thing I want to point out there are no layers. If I go to Settings, we're going to learn about styles. These are all the different types of objects that we have in the software. So we have, let's say, surface objects. So we have surface styles. Notice it's just standard. Remember, standard you don't want to use. That's like layer 0. Everything's going to be a white, and you will not have anything defined. Where's my contours? Where's my 3D tin lines? Where's all my information? Label styles, contours, slopes, everything standard, standard, standard. How about parcels, parcel styles, standard, label styles, standard. How about alignments? Alignment styles, standard, label styles, label sets. I think you get the idea, and also I'm trying to show as I go through here how many different types of styles there are. So every object is pretty much set up the same. You're going to have the object style, you're going to have a label style, you're going to have a table style. It's more than that, but it goes down through the entire tree. At one time, we did have someone here that counted how many there was, but it's very, very immense different number of styles and settings, and it's almost impossible to look at all these. But it is fun to do. So we're going to put all these in to make this much easier for you. So the next step that you want to do is start a new template. Do not use the ACAD template again. I was just showing you that. The next thing you want to do, hopefully everybody's working in Imperial. If we have anybody in Canada here paying attention today, of course you could use the metric one. It's the exact same thing. As you select the National CAD Standard template, we'll open that up and we'll go over and take a look at the objects again. This time we're going to take a look at surface styles. Quickly, you'll notice the difference. We have the styles for no display, border only, a ton of contour styles, contours and triangles. So these are the different ways we can display those objects. There's your label styles, right? No longer do we have just standard. So this is a great set of styles to begin with. There's parcel styles. We looked at alignment styles in the past, right? So you have existing, you have proposed. Maybe you want one for offset alignments for the intersections. I believe you're getting the idea at this point. You have sections, pipes, all sorts of different styles for all the information that you want to create. The problem with the National CAD Standard template is, if I told you just to start using this, you would, and the problem is it has all these layers already configured into it. This gets very messy. As we take a look at a simple surface style, you'll notice that they also went in here and got very elaborate, and they put everything to do with the surface style. They put points on a different layer, triangles on a different layer, border, contours, the tint. So they have a lot of different information inside every single individual style. To get started, I don't believe you need that. The other thing, if you start going in here, you'd have to configure every single one of these just to get started with your layers. So what you were not able to do, if you're in a different version than 2012, you have to do a layer merge. Okay, there's if you go to my blog, there's all the steps to walk you right through it. But what I suggest on 2012 and newer versions, they made it very simple in here. You can just do layer delete. In the past, you couldn't do this because the styles were associated to the layers, and there was no way to separate those. So that's why a lot of companies had difficulty doing that and had to use the ACAD template. So simply go to layer delete. We want to delete some names. We're going to start with the entire list. That's pretty simple to remember, right? When it comes up, just say, yes, delete all the layers. When we're done, we delete 186 layers. We look in here. You'll notice that all we have is layer 0 now. So we cleaned up the template automatically. Let's go over to our settings real quick, and we'll talk about all this as we get going. But there's the same display that I showed you a little bit ago with surface styles, but I cleaned up all the layers, all the colors, all the line types. Everything is now defaulted to layer 0. Very important to make this easy for us to manage. The reason I have you start with the National CAD Standard in the first place is because you have styles to start with, and you can look at those and review why they're there to help you create your own content. Otherwise, you're kind of going in there blind, and this is going to let you view all the different information as you go, and it makes it much simpler to customize and add to that. So at this point, typically, I have a great start. I have no idea. I've talked to Autodesk. I think this template should be in there right out of the box. Call out of the box template, or this is where your company begins. At this point, simply do a save as. You can put, make sure at the bottom, this is DWT. Put the name of your company in there. You can do an underscore. I like using an exclamation point because it moves it right to the top. But I would call this Sterling Custom or Sterling, whatever you want to put your company name on there. Click Save. I now have a Sterling template. I will give it a very good description so I know to use this in the future. You'll notice that this template is now saved in a DWT format. At any time, I can close this, open a new drawing, and it would open and always do a save back as, or continue to work in this template as I go. So that's the first slew around that I wanted to talk about. Start with the National CAD Standard template. Save as your company to build your first template to get you started. So one of the things in the comments from the previous training is people wanted to kind of more of a format of what they were looking to go from to where we were going. So what I did is I built a nice little PowerPoint here to kind of give you a preview of what we're talking about, the goals that we're going to achieve here, and then we're going to jump over to the software to do it. I would love to have everybody have books and do exercises, but it would take almost an entire day to cover with manuals and training exercises to what we can do here in 90 minutes for everybody. So now we're going to talk about settings. The first thing we're going to mention is drawing settings. We're going to jump right in here and show you that, but the first thing you have to understand with drawing settings is this is the hierarchy of everything. If you create an object, this is the default layer that it is going to go on. With settings, in this hierarchy, those drawing settings can be trumped. You can overwrite the drawing settings by using object settings. Object settings is also known as feature settings. feature settings to kind of give you an idea is if you right-click under the settings tab on that object, they're called edit feature settings. So that object itself, you can define what layer it's going to go on, maybe the name of the object. There's just a ton of settings for every single object that's exclusive to each object in there. And then underneath that, we actually have command settings. So we can suggest to everybody that we're going to have drawing settings. Then we go to the object. Then underneath the object, you have commands down here. Individual ways to, let's say, build that surface. So if I build a surface by importing a DEM, or if I build a surface from drawing objects, I can have it use different settings to do that than I established up above. And again, the reason for this is everybody wants to do everything their way, and the program is accommodating. You just have to know how to get there and how to set it up. So let's go ahead and jump over there and take a quick look at what I'm referring to. Again, what I really want to point out is everything when you're initializing your template and working with the settings for out of the box, setting it up for the entire company and users, make sure you're under the settings tab. Here at the top is the name of the drawing or the template that you're working in. We're going to edit the settings. We have units and zones. So we're going to work in feet. We're going to work with international feet. We're going to set the drawing scale. This is what we typically use, so every drawing is going to start with that. We have the option to go in here and set the categories for the list. If we're using GPS, latitude, longitude, we can tell where the coordinates came from. If you notice there's USA, Arizona, you can set this at any time. If you're not doing latitude, longitude, you don't have to worry about it as well. Talk to your surveyor about this for more information. You can also use this if you want to pick a great vacation spot anywhere in the world. They have just about everything mentioned in there. What we want to talk about today is object layers. The downside of using a National CAD Standard template is they already put all the layers in here. So unfortunately, yes, you do have to go through and assign all the layers for your objects to what layer you want them to go to. You have to do it anyhow, so it doesn't really matter. Simply go in here. You can put every single object on layer 0. There are discussions out there if you Google it, and some people recommend it. I do not. If everything's on layer 0, when you build, let's say, an alignment, it allows any user to go in there and change it to any other layer. When you first initially go to Civil 3D, your goals and your habit is a better word, what you're used to, is to run everything by layer. Yes, there are some advantages, but I promise the more you work with Civil 3D, the more you will control everything by styles. So, take it from me, styles are going to drive Civil 3D. You can also use layers, but styles are going to be the most important first of all here. So until you learn more, I would, unless you have a different debate or an argument here, what we would do is go in and you can either assign every object layer an O dash and then the name, or use layer filters to customize it. But maybe just do align, so every single alignment that I create will go to the align layer. Under the align layer, I like using a suffix. You can also use a prefix, just a matter of your preference, your company standard. I do dash asterisk. So now if I create an alignment and we call it, I'm trying to think of a Pima Road, whatever that name is, it will take the name of the alignment and it will put it on the end of this layer. So it'll be ALGN-Pima Road. Then I have the ability to go in here for each one of these and kind of customize this. I can create this. I hate to bore you guys with this. We'll just do one more to give you an idea. ALN, we'll say text, TXT, or you could do LBL for label. And then I can assign a suffix again. And the labels will go to that layer. They'll all be unique for every single alignment. If you don't need that kind of control, again, you don't have to put the suffixes on there, but it allows you to control and turn every single alignment off by layer if you want to instead of a style. And another one I'd just like to point out, everybody's familiar with surfaces, so I just want to show you real quick. SRF for surface. Again, I select that. Same exact step. You want to use a suffix, dash, asterisk. If I name the surface EG, it's going to be SRF-EG for the layer name. Down at the bottom of that, you're going to see immediate and independent layers. Everybody wonders what that does. It gives you more control over individual components of that object. I was always like, well, yeah, I always want more control of everything, so I'm going to check that. I don't think you're going to need that. You can always turn it on and off, but the idea is that you build an alignment. You really want to turn each curve or spiral off independently of the lines. Typically, no, you have the object. It's only if you freeze the object. The entire alignment is going to go off anyhow. You typically don't need to turn them off individually, and you could use styles to do that anyhow. So typically, I don't check that. The other question you might have, and again, I haven't seen any questions, so feel free to put those in the chat window if you guys do have any as you go. I haven't seen any pop up, but I'll try and keep an eye on it as we go as well. But the question you might have is, you're putting everything on ALGN, you didn't assign any colors or line types, everything's on layer 0. Or I'm sorry, not layer 0, but color white. You really want to do that? What's that going to look like? Yes, it's fine. You can assign any color you want to. We don't care at this point because styles are going to drive that as we get a little bit farther in the software. All of the labels can be controlled by abbreviations, and we also have ambient settings. So remember, the hierarchy of all of our settings is drawing settings. Okay? We'll see. Make sure everybody's paying attention. I will give away Starbucks gift card at the end. So when I get ready to ask questions, put your hands on your keyboard. I'll probably only do $5 or something like that, but I'll give you guys a small quiz at the end. They will give you 3 shots, and whoever types in, whoever comes through on my end of the chat window first, I will send out the gift card to you. But what I want to point out is drawing settings is a hierarchy. Underneath the drawing settings, as you go through here, you can initially set the program for every type of precision that you want for every single property. So if I go in here to elevations, and I set this to 2, well, what I'm saying in here is I want the entire program, no matter if it's a point style, alignment style, surface label style, every single thing to use a precision of 2. Is that practical? No, not really. We're going to want to show different precision for different things throughout the entire program, elevations, distances, everything. So you do have the option. This is just the hierarchy, right? This is the parent. The parent always tells everybody else, the child, what to do. So by setting this, I can go in there and it tells the entire program this precision. I go to the object level. Think of the object level as a child or your children. Well, they are going to take that lesson from the parent, whatever they told them to do, and they're going to leave that locked to 2. But they can go in there and they can change theirs to 3 or maybe 1. If they do that, it notifies you here that there's a child override. They have rebelled against you. That's okay. Odds are we wanted them to set that correctly, so that was good. At any time, though, you do have control to go in here and say, child behave. You can click this setting, and it resets all the hierarchy settings back to the precision of 2. So keep that in mind. You can lock everything in here, and to take it a step farther, you can go in, and you can actually hide the locked column. An easy way to do that, again, you could do something like this so they don't see it, or you can actually turn this entire column off so users don't know it's there. They could find it and unlock it, but it does help. So right now I'm forcing the precision 2 through the entire template. I just overwrote the National CAD standard for everything. So I do not advise that you do that, but I want to do this to kind of give you a setting to show the advantages and how this works. The last thing I wanted to point out, and a suggestion to you, I guess a small flew around in here, as you set everything, all the different layers in here, simply right-click, copy all, maybe open up Excel, paste in here the information that you set. And what I would suggest you do, and you can do it at the end at any time, but go in there, maybe save that as a PDF, but make your CAD manager manual from this information. So save this, store this, and save that in the future to hand out to new employees where to store that information if you want to. Or maybe you just print it out so when you guys all get in the same room, you have to configure these and talk about it. It's another way to get it in front of everybody, an easy way instead of recreating that entire list as well. All right, so we talked about drawing settings. We're going to get to object feature settings next, and then command settings. So drawing settings is a hierarchy. Let's jump back over to the program here. Let's take a look at the settings. I set all the elevations to 2. So next I go to the object level. The object level is the point objects. I right-click, remember they're also known as feature settings. We take a look at the elevation. Guess what it's set to? 2. Okay, because I told that to program. Well, I want to go in there and I want to change it to 3. Maybe I have just ground shots or whatever the reason. I need a decimal precision of 3 for these elevations. When I do that, I click OK, and now when I go back to the drawing settings, you will notice under the ambient settings for elevation, I now have that child override there again. So hopefully that helps you guys understand. The drawing settings are the hierarchy, the object settings are next. I can control the different settings for all the units underneath everything after that page. In the next step, the object, you're going to have command settings. So underneath the command settings, maybe I want 2 to be for everything, for all my point settings, but when I create a table, I only want it to be a decimal or elevation of 1. So I could go in here just for this one setting, go in, and I could change the elevation to 1. Okay, now the reason it said 3 was because drawing settings were first. Then I overrode that with the object settings and then pushed it down to the command settings. But now I can go in and change that to 1. If I go back to the point settings, this is the object level, we can take a look, and you'll notice now I have a child override at this level saying it's no longer 3 below me. So I know it's a lot to understand, and I hope it gives everybody an overview. And as you move forward, I think it'll help you understand with a lot less frustration as you're fighting with that in the future. So hopefully that makes sense. To simply clarify it real quickly, you have drawing settings, then you have the object category, and you have the commands, and then every single point, once the points are created in the drawing, or the alignment or the surface is in the drawing, of course you can always pick it, go to properties, and you can change it at that level at any time for every individual label as well, or every individual object. And of course, you also have label style. So I can tell it to use 2 through the whole program, but I can also say label it a different one. So really I should throw on here one more step, and that would be labels as well. All right, so that jumps us to Civil 3D styles. This is what we really want to focus on and talk about. I gotta laugh real quick. If anybody had to sit in a room and configure the company standards in the past, I did this once to configure and get the survey and engineering and everybody to agree, and I was in charge of it, and everybody's going to use these layers, these colors, and we're going to all use the same standards. I know you've been using those for 10 years, and you've been using those for 10 years, but we have to agree and consolidate this for every single engineer, every project manager, to get down to 1 so that everything looks the same as those out the door. And not kidding you, we're in the same room for 4 hours. We had to order lunch, and by the time we left, we didn't have much more than we started with, except for to agree that we don't agree. And it pretty much felt like this picture. So I'm sure a few of you have been in the same situation I was. Civil 3D is going to fix all of that. The problem is you got to go back into that room. You have to have this discussion. You have to put somebody in charge. And the first thing you have to do is sit down with all your users, and you have to say, this is what we want existing contours to look like. This is what our alignments look like. These are what our points look like. And then once you have that, you just start building it. One of the things that I've learned is companies half the time can't even agree on that. So what I do is I just send me the best set of prints that you have. I take a look at those prints. I build all the content for you. I roll it back out. And then you look at it on the screen and you go, that is great. That looks good. Can you change this, this, and this? We go back, we make the changes, and we roll it out at one final time for everybody. So keep that in mind, too, if you're not going to do it yourself. Don't let it hold up the rollout of Civil 3D. I've seen firms argue over this over a year. So do not let it hold up. At least get it started with some standard. Once again, once it's out there, it'll maintain, it'll lock everybody in. You can still put text in instead or edit things, but for the big picture, it works very well. So we're going to create styles for objects. Every object has labels. Every object is going to have tables. And then at the command level, you can override what style you want to apply to any object. So again, there's a hierarchy along with styles as well. So the first thing we're going to jump into and talk about is kind of building that template and the best way to do that, and that is with point styles. It's just a good place to start. Why I like point styles is because it's the foundation of everything else you're going to do. So to help understand, the point style is just the symbol that you're going to use. So instead of an X or a marker, you're going to use a catch basin, a manhole, any symbol that you want to place at that location. So from Survey Crew, it's going to bring it into a description key maybe, and then you have an option to create a point label style. And that label style is what is fundamentally exactly the same. Once you learn the setting, you can utilize this for all the other styles all the way through in developing that. So we're going to build one from scratch. Yes, it's going to be a little bit boring, but pay attention to this part because it will be used for the rest of the template that you build for all of your content. I guess real quick, again, hopefully keep those two differently. Point style is a symbol, the label style is the information next to it. A couple other things we're going to do to give you an idea of what, as we go forward, we're going to create the point style, point to label style in one way to kind of cheat. If you use Land Desktop, I already have a description key in another program. I'm going to show you that you don't have to recreate the entire list from scratch. Simply XML out of Land or import it from Land Desktop, and it's going to build that description key file for you, which has a lot of this content in there for you automatically. And then we're going to create the label style. So I actually have two to go around to show you in this session. One is going to be the ability to bring in the XML file, the description key file automatically, and I'm going to show you an invisible button to help you create this content. So let's focus on the point styles real quick in hand for this template. The first one, I guess, let's take a look at the description key. So under the point style, in the National CAD Standard template, you have a description key already defined as an example. So we look at this, you have codes that the surveyor types in. This is the format what it's going to look like inside your drawing. The style is the symbol that's going to be associated with it. So TR is a tree, symbol tree, the label style, format, and layer. And a ton of other settings to work with for scale and parameters. And I'm not going to get into all that today. I want to focus just on the styles here. But what I wanted to point out is to build this list, you might have 100, 200 keys. You want to go to Land Desktop. If you have a project already in Land, you're just now getting Civil 3D and want to convert it. You can also do XML. There's different ways to do this. Let me know if you have it stored some other way. You can go to Excel. A ton of ways to do this. Locate the project path, locate the project. It will automatically find the current description key you found in the past. Simply click OK. This is quite the list. You can see it migrated the list into here already. And now if I take a look at this, you can see I have a ton of codes and I have a ton in the format. All the layers are already preset for me. So a very quick way to get you moving. But you still have to go in, because we didn't have point styles and label styles in Land, I have to go in and define all these now. Okay, so hopefully I give everybody a quick head start. So with that in mind, let's take a look at point styles. Let's take a look at example one. So if we take a look at a catch basin, you can see they named the catch basin. They have a marker. A simple marker can be used from AutoCAD. Use custom marker, as you can see here, for your symbols. Or you can actually pick an AutoCAD block. And you can see here they chose the catch basin block, and it shows a preview of it right here. And they size the name of it right here. No matter what block you use from any other program, when it comes in, it doesn't matter the size. It's going to put it to a 1 by 1 inch block, and then you're going to use this to size it so it comes in correctly to the drawing, and it will use the drawing scale to modify that. 3D geometry, do you want to show it as an actual point elevation, or do you want to leave it at 2D? Display, what do you want to show? So the view direction. In plan view, yes, I want to see the point symbol. Yes, I want to see the label. But whenever I go to 3D view, maybe my object viewer, I don't want to see the marker, and I don't want to see the label. Imagine when you take your entire drawing, if you go to object viewer, can you imagine 1 million points going up in 3D? It's going to bog it down, it's going to slow it down dramatically. So they give you that option to turn that off. If you're in profile view or section view, you can have your points display, and they can show different types of markers, and they're giving you an option there to turn this on or off. And the summary tab just shows everything summed up with the different tabs, so you can go here instead to work with that. So to get started, we're going to simply create one point style from scratch to show you how this was done. So we just right-click on the point style, go to New. We're going to name this 3D Tree. Maybe we'll say this is a deciduous tree, so 3D Tree D for deciduous. And we'll use something else for our pine trees and different things there. But for the marker, again, there's a symbol that we can use. If you want to use both, you would have to make that block if you want an X and a symbol. I'm going to go down here and use AutoCAD block. Well, how do I get these blocks into here in the first place? If it wasn't built into the initial template, you can do a couple things. You can use Design Center, and you can drag and drop every block individually. Also, how do you get your AutoCAD layers in here? Well, drag and drop your AutoCAD template, go to your Design Center, highlight all of your layers, and drag and drop them right in here into the drawing, and all of your layers would be into this template now. Don't recreate them all. In order to get your blocks, this is one of the slew arounds. There's absolutely no option here for a button, but there is invisible. Right-click anywhere in here, and you can go to Browse, and you can locate as many drawings or blocks that you want to. So locate that Kogo directory that you used to have, bring in 50 of them, and whatever number you have, import it, and it brings them all in at once. I'm going to simply do my 3D tree symbol. It does come with Civil 3D, by the way. And you can see the new symbol there. And yes, if I flip it in 3D, I see a 3D tree, which is kind of cool. I'm going to make the symbol a little bit smaller here for my trees. I can tell in 3D geometry to use the point elevation, and that way the tree is going to sit right on my surface. Again, you might not need to do this. Again, it's up to your software what you want to do with it. For plan view, yes, I want the marker and the label. I'm not going to get into layers a lot here because there's a hierarchy of points and there's a ton of things to show you. I will help anybody out after the webcast if you shoot me an email, though, to help you drive layers here. Any layer that you do not assign here will use the drawing setting or the hierarchy. In this case, the hierarchy to all your points is description key. So if I assign a description key for this to go to V-tree layer, then these are automatically on the tree-V layer, and then I can put this on a sub-layer, kind of like blocks do if I want to, but that's the intent here. The only thing I'm going to do is when I go to 3D, I'm going to tell it to leave the tree on, but I'm going to turn the label off just to show everybody if we get time there. Pretty simple, right? Yes? Very simple. Everybody's still paying attention. Again, I know this isn't much fun, but it's something you got to do, and you have to make 100 of these. So I'm just going to show you one, and then we're going to move on. That's the point style. Now the best part is the label style. We're going to start from scratch. Again, this is going to resemble every label style you do, and then I promise we're going to have more fun after this. But as we make a new label style, we're going to call this 3D. Let's just call it Tree D for deciduous. All my deciduous trees, it's going to use this label. Matter of fact, all my trees could if we wanted to. I go to the General tab. All of my labels can have its own layer as well. So I can make this tree-LVL labels and have full control over that if we want to. If not, it will go on the layer of the description key file. So we're not going to worry about that. Plan readability. We talk about if you have all the labels in the entire drawing, you rotate it 90 degrees, or even in an X reference, it's rotating to twisted 90 degrees, all the labels automatically update. This is why. This is at the point that you rotate it that it will update automatically. And they are oriented to the object. So if you rotate the object, the text will go with it if you want it to. And if you don't want the label, you simply tell it that you can turn it off. So the style can drive the objects, not the layer. Under the layout mode, you can see they already have on any new style you create, point number, elevation, description. That's fine. Use it. But to help everybody understand these, we are going to start from scratch. And we're going to go a little bit fast. I apologize, but you'll get the idea as we flash through here. So the first thing I want to do is create text. This would be elevation. So my point elevation, I want to locate this right next to this object. The anchor point that they're talking about is this X, right? I'm going to anchor this label to this point. And again, I can't say enough. This is for every label style. As I anchor to this feature has 9 points. Top left, top middle, top right. And again, you have a picture of 3 dots, 3 dots, 3 dots. Well, how do I want to associate this text to this feature? Well, this X, I want to use right middle. So I go in here and I say right. To give you an idea, let's say middle center. So now it's putting that right in the center. I want to go middle right. So it now associated it right here in the right side middle of this X. Don't worry about the label. I spent hours in here before I understood it. Just click, 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 click. Oh, got it. Moved on. Make sure you understand it because you're going to do this a lot. This is only the feature. The next step that you're going to do is the label. The text is the label. How is this text going to align with that feature? Again, 3 points. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. I want what? Anybody want to take a guess and type it in there real quick? If you've done this in the past, you can make it real easy. Middle left. Right? Anybody guess it? Anybody get that right? Okay, so again, pretty easy to do. Then you just say label text. What information do I want to put in here? Well, I don't want to say label text. I can go in here in the text component, and I can get any information I want. I want point elevation, and I'm going to set this to 2. Again, the label is different than the previous settings. I'm done with the settings. I click the arrow. This is what it's going to use. This looks like a lot of information, but all I do is take that information, abbreviate it here, round normal. You can see the list, decimal character, decimal grouping symbol, and so on. Just be careful if you make a change in here. You have to click this to update this, and this has to be highlighted when you do. So now I have elevation, and I want to add 2 more labels or components to this. So I simply go in here and make a copy of the elevation. I change it. This one's going to be number. I want that to be associated to the elevation. So I simply tell this to associate to the elevation as my new feature. So how do I want to attach it to this? Now I'm attaching it to the elevation. So I want that to be top left, right? There's 9 points going across here. Top left. Looks good there, but it's not right. I know it's not right, but now where's the text, the label itself? So the label is this new point number that I'm doing. So I want to use the bottom left to do that. And there we go. Again, make sure you change it off elevation. What do you want to put in there? We want point number. We can set the information there. Now we got the point number. I think you guys get the idea, and we're going to go through this one real fast. Description. True. Associated to the elevation again. So now we want the bottom left. You guys going to guess this one before I do, right? Anybody going to grab that one? Making sense? I'm just going to guess half of you were right. So I'm going to go ahead and put a full description into here. And then we're going to say the anchor point would have been top left. Hopefully you guys got that one. All right, so that's it. And then you have full control over every single one of these components. No, I don't want to show the elevation. Yes, I want to show it. You know, I want a description only. We'll just turn these off. I want the text to be a different size for elevation, but now for the point number. Okay, change the text type. Change the X and Y locations. Change the color if you want to. You can put borders on the information. And again, this is the same thing for all of the styles that we work with, right? So once we understand it here, we can do this for everything. And you simply change the components for each one, and you change the different things that you want to see in here. All right, bored everybody enough. Hope everybody's got that. Then you have a drag state. What happens when I drag the label? When I drag it, I can say I want a straight leader, I want a spline leader. I want it to be a completely different color when I drag it. I want an arrowhead. I want the border to be true. I want to put a border on it. I want it to be false. I want a rectangle. You get all these options. What is very key is if I drag it, it will automatically stack the text no matter what I have displayed here. It will take all the text and stack it. Instead, you can say as composed. It grays everything out, and when you drag it, it will hold its composure just like this. And then we have the summary tab, and this lists everything we just did. Okay, so pretty simple. Let's go ahead and create a point. Well, if I go to an object and I say create a point, these are my default styles, right? This is my feature settings. Here's feature settings up here. Point style, basic, point label style. So this is what it should use. Points, this is what people get frustrated on, and then they just go back to what they're using. Do not do that. This is all simple. It's just a matter of understanding it or having somebody set it up for you. So point description. Well, how about TRD? We want a deciduous tree. Let's take it a step farther. It's going to be 8 inches, and it's going to be oak. Point elevation, we're just going to say 100 real quick, and let's see what happens. Whoa, that doesn't look anything like we wanted it to, right? That's not our goal or what we were looking for. It's not the colors, not the settings, not the style. The problem is points have their own hierarchy as well. the number one is description key, then it automatically falls to a point group. And the first thing you do when you create a point, if it doesn't use a description key, it goes to a point group called all points. You cannot get rid of it, and it uses a default style here. That style is going to control this. And I must have had a description key that was TR, so that's why it looks like this. So let's have a little bit more fun here. Manual description key. How about, I know I didn't have one called ground shot, 100. There we go. This is what I was looking for it to do. It did not use the description key file now. It fell to the all points point group, and notice the label style says none. Well, I want it to be controlled here by the one we just created, and now you can see it put our label on it. So I'll talk about that a little bit here in a second. But the idea is this, to show you everything, you simply go to your description key. This is the easiest way to do it. I want to create a code, so I simply say PRD, and anything I type after that utilizes the asterisk. The point style that we created, anybody remember the name of that? Sorry, I can't hear you. Everybody's muted. Just too much background noise, but you're more than welcome to type it in to show me that you got it right. So we got the style. Next is the label style. So you would assign this for every type of point that you want to display differently. So your trees can look a certain way, different descriptions. I can say just description only, or maybe my ground shots are just elevation only. Hopefully I'm giving you some different ideas. The trees could show this display only. When it creates that tree, I don't know if I want to get this crazy here. $, one would be the size of the tree, $1, so it would be $, one would be the size of the tree. This would be $2 would be the type of tree. We'll see if I get this right off the cuff here. But the idea is make sure you do the point style, make sure you do the label style. Notice I'm using the code, so it's automatically going to apply this style and this format and uses this layer. So it's the easiest way to do it. That's why I'm showing you this way. Point, create points manually. Quickly place that description TRD space 8-inch oak tree. Elevation, let's say 100. I did everything correctly. Uh-oh, my tree symbol is super small there, so I didn't set the drawing scale, right? To scale that by drawing scale, but you get the idea. The symbol is there. For fun, what the heck, wake everybody up a little bit. Yes, we have a 3D tree, right? So the idea of these are in there too if you want to get carried away with your presentations visually. But what we're looking at here is simply changing the to match the drawing scale, and the label style came in with it. So hopefully everybody gets an understanding of how that works. I'm going to clean these up real quick. I know there's a lot more that goes into it, but again, I hope that points everybody in the right direction, and we want to move along here. So hopefully you saw the invisible button to bring all the points in, and we're able to bring in an automated description key for you to get you started. Here's a quick review of how all this works. Description keys are the highest. Then the point group has control, then individual commands, then per object. Pick the point, go to properties, and change it if you want to. And yes, I'm going to throw one more twist at you. For everybody that really knows what they're doing out there, you can bring all your points in through description keys. And as you might have saw in the introduction, I used point groups to manipulate how all of my labels were displayed. And I did that with a point group override. The point group override, you just check it to override description keys. Okay, let's get to some fun stuff. Surface styles. Where do we start with surface styles? Well, the best thing with surface styles, you guys can kick back and relax a little bit because these are a lot easier, and I recommend maybe this even before points, but you typically need points first on the survey side. But definitely, if you just want to get comfortable with the software, jump in there and start creating surface styles, again, because they're easy. The slew around that I want to mention in case I forget, when you're building content, I want you to bring in a surface through XML, through importing a tin, however you want to bring it in here, because you're going to do everything from that tin surface. So typically what I do is I just have an XML from previous software. Even in here, I open up a drawing, create a surface, export it out, and I bring it in. Don't bring in a million points in a nasty file. You can, but you have to go back and change those settings later. And we'll talk about that towards the end. The idea is I need a surface. With this surface, I have a ton of styles that come with it. right? All I do is simply select the surface. At any time, you go to Surface Properties, and you can change the style from background to design, and it would change. These are already configured for you. There's my border, contours and triangles. Again, this is the only thing that comes with the software. You can tell it the band, highest to lowest elevation, automatically, slope banding as well. So there is a ton of information in here, but it's not my information. It's not my color. It's not my setting. So we've got to configure this. Easy way to do surface styles is select one of these and just modify it. Again, start a brand new one if you want, but let's just start with the contours. Let's use the 1 in 5 design. Just going to right-click, edit that. Information tab. I guess this is a slew around as well. Make sure you remember this one. In front of all of your styles, put your company initials. The reason for that, if it ever goes to any other company, or if another company brings their styles into your drawing, you're going to now be able to locate all of yours. So either put it at the beginning, or if you have a very long prefix, put it at the end. That way you can find what you're looking for and then locate this as well. So either way, but make sure you know your styles with a prefix or a suffix so you know they're yours. So I'd go in, I'd say Sterling Systems. Border. Do I want to display a border with this style? And when I do that, do I want to use surface elevations? Do I want to exaggerate the surfaces I've created? I'm going to go ahead and say yes. I create contours. I can't go through all these. Again, it's just too much information. But you can do contour intervals. I want every 1 foot, every 5 foot. Simply change these. I want to create a copy of the style 2 and 10, 5 and 25. I want to do it for a parking lot. Make those changes. 3D geometry, contour depression is very cool in here. We haven't had that in the past. You turn this on, it actually puts little tick marks and shows you where depression is. I can put a grid over the whole sign. Every 50 foot, I can put points on the whole grid. Different point styles. Triangles. So do I want to create, for the tin, I can tell it to display triangles for a tin surface. I can do watersheds. I can break this up into multiple watersheds and create every style and every color, and do I want hash patterns. Go to the Analysis tab. When I do highest to lowest elevation, let's say, what ranges, what different type of styles, and what output do I want, like 3D faces. And do I want it in 3D or 2D? Slope settings. Run through them all, set them one time, and then just keep copying that style so you don't have to go through them again, ever. Simply go to Display tab. Remember, we stripped all the layers out of here, and all you have to do, first of all, remember the top in the drawing settings, I already put my surface on a layer, SRF dash, the name of the surface. So I could leave it that way, but if I want independent control of the contours, I take this style and I simply go over here, and hopefully you imported all of your custom styles, your custom layers from your template that you're currently using. So I'm just going to call it, this would already have it in here, SRF if I built the surface, but it could be SRF, let's see, this would be major, whoops, JR. And maybe just to show you, we'll assign a couple of different colors. So I'll use this one. Don't use my layer references. I'm going kind of quickly here. So SRF dash minor, just do MRN, so it's the same. Minor, and we'll make this one darker, I guess, just for that guy here. I'm going to probably switch those two, but that's fine. Just to give you an idea that we built this style from scratch, and it's going to now be 1 in 5 foot design, and it's going to show these. This is plan view. Every style has 2D and 3D interaction. You go to model, and under model, we can reset all these to 0 or all the by layer as well. But maybe I don't want to show major and minor contours. I want to see 3D triangle. I actually want to see the tin. Now the layer, I just want to leave on layer 0, so I'm not worried about that. But maybe I want to see the tin is white, or maybe a different grayscale, so I could set that as well. I'm just going to make sure that's on layer 0 for right now. And of course, how do I want to look at it when I review sections? And you can leave that as a default if you want, and it would show red. So another way to quickly change styles, maybe another slew around here, a quicker way to do it is back on the prospector, I pick surfaces. It would list all the surfaces. I simply pick in this style list. We'll go to 1 in 5 design. oops, 1 and 5. Oops, I'm sorry, I put the SS on there, so I moved it to the bottom. You can also put exclamation points. It would always keep this one to the top if this is one of your top 2 or 3. And now you can see I just create a surface style and it defined it with the contours that I want to display. I can select the surface. Everybody paying attention, what's it going to look like when it goes to 3D? Anybody? Is chat window working? I bet if I gave away a gift card, you guys would get it. Yes, it's going to show, if I have it set up as wireframe, is my 3D tin lines, and I told it to show as white. Okay. So hopefully everybody's getting the idea of the styles, how it can be displayed in plan view, 2D, 3D, and how simple it is to go in and create these. As you learn more about these styles, again, back in the Settings tab, we also have label styles for every single object. Underneath that, you have contours, and you have label styles. So each label style that you create for contours, minor or major, has a name. I would say SS again. Put an underscore maybe in there, looks a little better, whatever you guys prefer. You don't have to put anything just to have it, I guess. For the General tab, what text style, visibility, orientation again. Anybody see this resembling anything? Yes, all the label styles are identical to what I kind of broke down and showed you individually. So inside here, if we take a look, there's content, surface elevation, and by default it says precision 2, and this is right out of the box from the National CAD standard. I'm not sure what they were designing there. So we're going to change that back to 1. Be careful, this still says precision 2. Click the arrow to update that. Now the majors are going to show that I fixed that. It's going to come in with 1. There's your drag state. So you guys already know all of this. I'm not going to go back over it. I like adding the labels this way. Surface. I'm going to do multiple. And again, I'm going to use major. I'm going to display minor too, but we're going to put this in here. I didn't change the colors, but look at the major. See the major and the minor, so I quickly made that change, and now I have a company standard. I right-click the existing, and now I put them on a proposed. I can also put them on the right layers. I can have them fall to the tin layer if I want to. So there's a lot to do with this, but that's all there is to it, is going into each label style and defining it the way that we want to see it. And now every time that a user goes in here to define these labels, you can go in and notice when I went to surface and I located contour multiple, see how it defaulted to the SS? We looked at the drawing settings. We looked at the feature settings, the object itself. Well, now you also have label settings. So inside here, it will automatically default to surface labels, and I can actually tell it in here default contour label styles. So I have to go in and assign my company name to each one of these for existing or proposed, either way. Okay, and I don't need to see this right now, so I'm just going to get rid of that. So let's see if we're staying on track here. Looks like we don't have much more time, so I want to get going a little bit quicker with alignment styles. The biggest thing for alignment styles, there isn't much to the alignment style. So if we go back here, we click on alignment, you go to alignment creation tools. Whatever the alignment name is, this is also driven by your template, so we can type that in. Your station is driven by your settings. And then notice the alignment style is called proposed here. And look what it's pulling for my alignment layer. It says C-road. Well, be careful with that, because if you remember back in your drawing settings, did I not save that? I guess I didn't save that here when I created my template. So let me see. Let me put this back to 0 real quick. Actually, we created, yep, I did get out. My bad. So this was ALGN. Okay, I'm not going to go through the suffix and everything. I just want to show you wherever this is set, when you create that alignment, it's going to automatically do it. But what I did is I deleted all those layers, and there's a little trick here to make sure that that holds. You have to do -purge, and you're going to get rid of all the regex. I don't want to configure all of them, so I'm just going to say yes. I'm going to do a quick audit. And I'm just going to clean up my template so it gets rid of all those past layers and everything that we did. And now inside here, when I create this alignment, you can see that it put in the right alignment layer, and it's using an alignment style called Propose. So just like the surface layer, you have each tab that you go through. There's your display tab, and you can configure what you want to see in here. So right now, everything will go to the align layer, but I could still go in and configure the lines to be blue, and I could assign the curves to be a different color. I could put the arrows. So just like we did with the surfaces, very repetitive. You also have the model as well. Do the same thing. And I click OK now, and I add this. It also asks for labels, and you have to configure label sets and what you want these to look like. So you create these labels for major, minor stations, and then you can group them into a set. The idea of the set is you don't have to add these individually, and you can import and export these styles as you go. So now you'll notice when I create this alignment, and let's do it here. Okay, the layer that it went on would be layer align, then you'd have your suffixes on there, so whatever you named it, and it's using this proposed style. At any time you can take any object and you can change it, and it would update, and I could assign existing to any of those colors. And you'll notice I don't have to have the tangents on here if we don't want. And also, if I go ahead and leave that back to the proposed one, any alignment that I define after this, let's say existing, another quick slew around is you can take any style and you can do match properties and then update as well. And that works with just about all of the objects, which is really pretty neat too. So the big thing with alignments, I don't want so much time on that. There isn't a lot there. Under alignment styles, same thing as a surface. Go through the tabs, set your display objects and styles. The biggest difference with this is you're going to get into label styles. You define the label styles for stationing, and you also have label sets. And the label sets is how these are grouped. And that's what you want to look into as far as putting your information in here. So if I got rid of everything in here, I simply add, I want major station, I want minor stations, and then you can save these as label sets. So it puts all the information in there correctly. So the little round I forgot about was cleaning that template, and I'll try and talk about that a little bit later on. But to make sure everything was on, after you delete all the layers, you have to do a purge and delete the reg apps to clean up that template. So it does establish everything back in layer 0. Profile styles. Unfortunately, we have a ton to talk about on that. I'm not going to get into it in great detail, but the idea of a profile style when you get started, if anybody's struggling with this right now, is there's 3 different sections. When you create a profile, you have a view. That's going to be the grid right here, and that's going to be the text over here. The next step is a profile style itself is actually the existing ground or the finished ground that goes along here. And then you have a label set, just like alignments, that automatically display these labels. The last style you have to configure for a profile, again, this is one of the most challenging styles that you can ever create. Because there's 3 different components, you have to understand each component. So hopefully this will help you out. The third one is the profile band style, and that's right there at the bottom, and that displays the information existing and proposed and all the stationing as well. And you can put that above or below. You can put cross-section, cut and fill data at the bottom. You can put storm sewer information at the bottom. You can get very creative with that. You can even put your horizontal geometry at the bottom of these bands. But when you focus on profiles, make sure you express those different information there. Now, probably the biggest tip as you do this to show you is we create, let's put that alignment back in here real quick and create a profile. So stripped everything to layer 0. Well, at any time, select the view. Remember, there's 3 components. go to your properties, and to get started, go through this list and simply choose which one is the best one for you to start with. So hopefully you can see over there in the bottom that it's showing me the different types of styles to start with that they gave me out of the box. And yes, we have elevations on both sides now. So just start with this, then go back in. And what I really enjoy the most is now you have a profile in the drawing, so go in there and configure it. This is my profile view properties. Well, in the profile view properties, you can go in, and this is the profile view that I picked, right? In that list is profile view. Same as my alignment, same as my surfaces. This is all the tabs. This is the display tab. And maybe we want to go in and change the settings for these layers. Put them on a layer grid, wherever you want to. What I want to show you for right now is that if I do assign this a layer in a color, that it will update on the fly. These are almost impossible. You can see the gray there. Impossible to manage if you're hunting and pecking and you don't know what you're doing. So this is going to update. You'll see it update on the fly, and it's the best way to work with your data. The last little round I have, if you ever want to see the profile, is a center line of road. You can actually see this in 3D. You can actually go to your object viewer, and if it's turned on, this is actually set this to yellow and set that to what do you call it, a center line. You actually see that in 3D, and I'd have to look at that style there. So a nice little tip I just want to point out for any users who have been doing Civil 3D for a long time. So a couple of quick ideas for you on that one. Hopefully I kind of get you over the hurdle with that. Utility styles, there's quite a bit with this as well. The first thing I kind of suggest, go into your part library, create a custom list for your storm sewer. You're going to have to go in there and configure what pipe sizes you use, what structures you use, and then define pipe style. What's your pipe style? What color, line type, single line, double line do I want to use in plan view? What do I want to use in profile view? Same with structures. You create a style for profile view, plan view as well, and you can just use simple blocks from AutoCAD that you had in the past, or the ones that come with the software to help you do that. Then when you go to add your labels, there's, again, a ton of custom settings to help you do that. So, again, I know there's a lot to cover, but I want to really just point out the key things for you to do when you're working with this information. So under the Settings tab, where I would start is go over here and locate the pipe information. This is your parts list. You simply create a new one for storm. And then you go to pipes and you add part families. What type of pipe do I want to use? And then corrugated metal pipe. And then I configure styles for plan view and for profile view inside here. So if I say add part size, 12-inch, 15, be careful if you add all sizes. You get a lot of different sizes in there, and then you've got to remove each one. So just to quickly give you an idea, you can resize this 12-inch, rename this CMP. And then what style do I want to use? And again, you'll see the resemblance like we did everything else. Plan view, for pipes, you can put the layers in here. What do I want for profile view? What do I want to turn on? Very similar to the surface style and the alignment styles we discussed before. We can set rules, render materials automatically. So in 3D, it actually looks like concrete or PVC, and then you can actually associate pay items in here, all through this parts list, and do the same thing for your structures, and just pick and choose which ones that you want. With that in mind, you create the information. But what I really want to point out in here that I believe can really help with styles is the label information. So I simply go in here, tell Pipe Networks, I want to label everything in the plan view. Name Studer, so CST, already associated. Don't use your initials. Use your work, your company initials there. But as soon as I add my styles in plan view, it already has the numbers that I told it to start with. The size of the pipe is already initiated. The plan view symbols are already associated as well. So make sure you customize all of these settings ahead of time. And that's simply by adding the annotation and clicking this button or going through the settings tree. watch, you can also have default settings for your profile and your sections. And these are just individual command settings that I'm going through, like we talked about before. So the entire network profile, I can now simply add this, and all of my profile labels are added. There's a unique setting in here when you talk about these settings, and that is a simple text box. So if I go to the structure and under the label style, I'm just going to edit this for you. And everybody, as you've seen with the point styles, this is real simple to build. But as you go through here, it's just identical to the label styles, right? There's your components that we talked about. You can copy them. But what's unique to the pipes is this pull down. You want to go to text for each. This gives you information to add just for your pipes. So you can say structure all pipes, or you can get information for the flow in or the flow out. And this is a slew around I wanted to point out for that. Otherwise, it's the same steps. The layouts have the drag state as well for that. So again, I know it's a lot of information to cover in a very short time. I think once you got the basics down, you can elaborate on this. Again, it is very challenging. It's something we could do for you if you want, but I just want to point that out so you can quickly find that setting, and you can kind of have goals of the way it should be working. Again, you have to have the information in the drawing to be able to see it, so you can edit it and get the information that you want it to display. And again, this was the goal. This one was the text for each object and getting the direction of the inverts and finding more information in there for the utility style. And to wrap things up, unfortunately, I'm going to leave you. What I used to say is the profile style was the hardest style to ever create. I have since changed my mind and learned about code set styles. Code set styles are the hardest to define, understand, and create. So if you create corridors, you would think it's controlled by a corridor style. Corridor is a 3D parametric object of your roadway design that uses the assembly information to configure that. Well, under code set styles, and I'll show you where they are, and you develop what it looks like, you can tell it what plan view will look like. Do I want edge of pavement, back of curb, center line? Do I want my daylight lines? If you notice in the background there, anywhere you see the green daylight line, that's going to be my fill. The red is going to be the cut, and yellow is the transition from the cut and fill line. You can even add right-of-way lines. You can add sidewalk information. Anything in the assembly will show up in plan view. You can take this in 3D and orient it in your object viewer, and your information will show up in that 3D as well. Try not to add what they call as shapes to your 3D view, because it will really bog down the system. The less information that you show, the better. Any type of roadway design that you are working on or you are designing, keep the code set style super simple, and you will get done much quicker on all of your regens, all of your designs, all of your updating. So a very, very big tip. If you're struggling with your roadway design, make sure you look at the code set style first. You can also add materials to everything. Simply just draw the road, flip it in 3D, and this is what you get with striping and everything. Again, once it's configured one time, every roadway, every ditch, every tunnel, everything that you do using a corridor, it will present it with these materials. And the last one I want to show you, and honestly, 25% of the firms, maybe less than that say they're utilizing Civil 3D, if they did configure any type of template themselves, they are not utilizing these code set styles. Instantly switching and looking at my cross sections, I can get the shapes, basically the sub material. I can look at my sidewalks, but even more powerful than what it's doing here, I can see offset information. I can see every single pavement slope. So if I'm going through a super elevation, it's going to tell me exactly what it's doing right then and there. I have between my sidewalk slopes display, my cut and fill slopes, like 4-on-1 or 3-on-1, automatically display. It tells me where the right-of-way is. There's so much information that we didn't use in the past because it wasn't available to you. Set it up, utilize it, and any firm I've ever worked with that utilized Civil 3D 2010 has never ever went back to any other program. They started in 2010 and they've only went forward and have nothing but good things to say about Civil 3D, and honestly would never work in Land Desktop again. If you take a Civil 3D user and you offer them a job with Land Desktop, I don't know anybody that would take that unless their unemployment ran out and they have to make their mortgage payment, to be honest with you. So hopefully that gives you an idea of the code set styles. We're running a little bit low on time here, so I just want to quickly switch over to, let me close out of this one because I think I had a different one that we were working on for that alignment, and it messed up my styles here. Nope, I guess not. But here's a code set style drawing. I just want to show you. I don't have time, again, to go through all of this. This is, again, the most complicated one. You simply go to your Settings tab. It's the very first one, you believe it or not, right under Multiple Styles. And you can start here with Code Set Styles. Very simple. You see the different names here, the ones that I configured. The orange marker is meaning that style is being utilized somewhere inside the drawing. It's current. But with Code Set Styles, let's use Plan View Design link for an example. This is what it takes to configure this, to display what I showed you and how to get the potential of what these are capable. Okay, so you have links, you have point codes, and you have shapes as well. And then you have what they call feature line styles available to you as well in here. So to keep that in mind, you go in, you configure all the feature line styles. Feature line styles are all the lines running parallel here that you see. You then configure all of your links. Links, we'll talk about in a minute, but they run perpendicular. They are all the little segments that connect up your assemblies for your design. And then you have point styles. And point styles are when you take a look at your assembly. Yes, that's not the best one there to show you, but this is one. This is a code set style, and it automatically defined my assembly and put all this information in there automatically. Believe it or not, I didn't have to display or label anything manually. Simply a style that I created. And the points are, do I have it on? Yes, all these little markers. So what do we want those points to look like? How do we want them configured? And those points display all this information labeled here for the offset information as well. So if I take this style and I want to see maybe how the roadway curb and gutter is being defined, how is the template reacting? Well, I need to go in here and change this code set style. And in this list, I change it from Plan View to Design View. And now I can actually see that I have sidewalk in here, and I have the curb and gutter, and I have links. So this is everywhere the assembly is currently sampling. And that's the reason I need that Design View. And those are the links. The point codes are there too. I'm going to simply switch this back to the Plan View, and we're going to wrap up quickly by just showing you the ability to go to the Object Viewer. Oops, I mispicked the center line there. And in 3D, you can see I can have it very simple information only. I can go to my corridor, and we can use the section editor. I don't have the style set up. My apologies for that. But, of course, this will look real good. Let me just skip to a different one to make sure. The styles are not on. Let me see if I can change it real quick. Plan View. Let's change it to typical section with codes for a second. And by default, I can have all my information displayed here as I go through all my sections and as I plot these, of course. And you can set all of these under one style if you want, but if I go and maybe change this, and I change this to visualization, and now I go to the Object Viewer, I'm going to get something completely different. And you can see this looks just like a roadway. And remember, the profile style is actually what does the paint striking. I don't know if I have that set up here, but if we go to the Object Viewer, you will see paint striping if I have it set up, because I selected the profile. And nope, my apologies, I didn't set that up. But the idea, the code set styles do a lot of information. Looks like I have to just open a different drawing to display that a little bit better. But hopefully that gives you guys an idea how important it is for roadway design. For more information about code set styles, and my slew around tips for this is, if you're on subscription, go to Autodesk University Just Google it. You go online. You can watch as many recorded classes as you want for more free training. If you do a search for Chad Studer, I did a class, Don't Be Left Out in the Code. You can search by instructor, and it was a virtual class, and all I did was talk about point codes for 90 minutes if you want to check that out. I also did the visualization classes. You'll see them off their driveways and how to handle sidewalks as well. So to wrap things up, some of the commands that you want to talk about after you get the template exactly the way you want, or if you divide up the work, which is what I recommend, have somebody do alignment, have somebody do profiles, have somebody else do surfaces, to bring all that information back together inside one template, you can go to the Manage tab, and in 2012, or subscription users for 2011, you can import styles from any other drawing, or if a client perhaps opened yours and you need their styles, something like that, and you can also purge any unwanted styles out of there that you don't want, which is a very easy way to get rid of them now. If you didn't have these in the past and you set this up, you understand how important these were. A couple other commands just to talk about real quick, I guess, to stay in here. After you delete all the layers, or after you bring in points and you build a surface, you have to reset all the settings. What I mean by that is you go to every object setting, you go to your point settings, and in here, I'd have to look for it, but you're going to have point ID numbers, like point number 1, point number 2, and you just want to reset those. Let me see if I go create point manually. My bad, where's points? There's points, commands, create points, edit points. You'll see I get a different list here. And under point identity, you can see I could reset this now to point number 1. So the next point I create would always use point number 1. The surface I want to reset every single feature before I go ahead and do a save as. I do dash purge. I get rid of the red gaps, get rid of any objects that were in here at any time. And I typically type in audit and remove everything to make sure it's a super clean template. So when I give it to my users, I put it out on the server for every single user to standardize and enforce the standards for my company that I know it's good and clean. And the last one, I guess, so you know, and most of you probably know, you go to your AutoCAD options, and if you want to hit the AutoCAD, just go up here and hit the new icon. Then you can go to File, Template Settings, and in here you can go to Template File Name QNew, and you go pick your custom template you just defined, and you can set that. The next time you create a brand new drawing, it will automatically use the template that you created, and they won't even know any better that they have other options. And also you can set that path to where your templates are set on the server. All right, and for everybody sticking around, again, I'll give away 3 Starbucks gift cards. We'll say, just for now, see how it works. Make sure everybody's still paying attention, that everybody's keyboards are working and the chat windows are still working here at the end. So just to express again, feel free to email me any questions that you guys have. I'll put my email up here again. If we didn't cover them, I understand there's an awful lot to cover. It does take time, depending on how busy you are, if you want to invest in your time or have us do that for you. We have an entire team that I overlook. Sometimes I even build the content myself just to keep my skills up to date and make sure that I don't slow down on any of that content as well. It's, I actually find it kind of fun once you've done it enough times. So the hardest one you'll ever do is the first one. Unfortunately, you guys only have to do it once, and the frustration sinks in. But, of course, we have support available to everybody that's on subscription with us or has purchased from us. And if you're new to us, we'll definitely talk to you. Of course, we give us a call, and we'll try and help you out. And as we end the event real quick, I just wanted to express we have Lynn Allen coming to town here in Scottsdale. If you don't know Lynn Allen, she's the most sought-after speaker, and she is a most sought-after technical speaker, actually, with Autodesk, and she's going to do the Future of Design presentation, and she's going to do 60 tips in 60 minutes. I will also be doing a 1-hour breakout session on Civil 3D, showing some of the coolest features that we have available, and it will range, you know, from intermediate to advanced users. And I promise everybody they'll learn something that they haven't seen before. And I will express some of the things I did for my Autodesk University class this year as well. We'll be talking about there. So I hope to see everybody there. And We're also going to have some drinks and hors d'oeuvres afterwards if that's not enough to talk you into getting half a day off work to share with us on February 16th. All right, so my information, again, if you want to give me a call or shoot me an email, check out my blog, again, for more information. We hope to see you guys on Tuesday, January 17th and the 23rd on converting data. And again, I think everybody will be there for the 23rd for the workarounds, or what I call flu rounds, on my blog. Again, email us new topics that you'd like to see us discuss maybe in the next quarter that we break this out again. So for the Starbucks gift card, number one, you have to be the first one in the chat window to answer the question. And the second thing is you're going to have to, after I say who won, you're going to have to send me your email address so I can get that out to you. I'm kind of lazy, so I might not do it today, but I promise to get it out to you Monday. So the first one, let's kind of keep it, I guess, a little bit simpler. Ooh, I should have thought about this ahead of time when I asked my questions. So if you can name an easier one here, what is the name of the template that you should start with when you begin Civil 3D? And I think that should be a very easy one for that. Let me take a look here at the questions. Anybody's typing that in? All right. Absolutely. And unfortunately, my window wasn't open, so I missed some of the questions there. But yes, it looks like Kristen Bilo, sorry if I pronounced that incorrectly. If you shoot me your email, and I don't know if this makes you feel any better, Ron and Neil, Ron was second, Neil was third. So get your fingers going here for the next one. Kristen, send me your email if you can, even type it in right now or shoot that to me, and I'll follow that up with the gift card. So the next one's going to be a little bit tougher, very tough, I guess. So we're going to let you think a little bit, and then I'll try and give you an easier one. The first one is, does anybody remember what the point, tip, or slew around was that I mentioned? I really don't expect you guys to get this one. It was pretty tough there, and it was a long time ago. But I just want to see if it really stood out to anybody that might have been frustrated with that. Anybody? Going once? Going twice? All right, I just want to give everybody a chance that time, so it wasn't quite so easy. So it wasn't just the quickest person. But the tip was working with points and bringing in the point style blocks with the invisible button. You right-click in that open window and bring as many blocks as you want in there. So the next one, again, to make this more fun, and we're going to do it throughout the next presentation instead of doing this at the end, just to make this a little bit more fun and to make sure everybody's paying attention. The next one is, what toy do I represent for objects in Civil 3D? You guys got to get this one because I did it in the last session and this one. What toy do I represent for objects and using styles to represent that? All right, Neil, very quick on that one. It was Mr. Potato Head. And shoot me your email. You got that one. Again, apologies. There's a couple other ones coming through here. The last one, I guess, that we'll mention, let's see. Ooh, this one's going to be tough. We'll see if there's some experienced users out there, though, I guess. When you work with points and you create points, there's a hierarchy. It goes description keys, point groups, and then the actual command itself. In there, you can create an override. Does anybody know what the override is? What one of those can you do the override for? Again, I know I covered a million settings and different things, so I just want to throw that out there real quick. Yes, you got it. Very good. The point overrides apply to the description keys, and they're assigned to the point groups. So I appreciate that. I got through here Queenie, so if you are the first one, very quick. There's a couple other ones again coming in, but you got it very quickly there. So Neil, I need your email address. Queenie, I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly as well. If you could shoot me your email address as well, I will shoot out those Starbucks gift cards today or first thing Monday. I want to thank everybody for your participation and hanging in there a little bit over our time. And just want to open it up for questions for anybody as well. If you guys have anything currently that you want to type in, just a real quick Q&A. If you hang on there a little bit longer, I'll open it up, the mic here, but with so many users, it might be a little bit loud, so give everybody a chance that doesn't want to ask questions to kind of finish up. So again, thank you for attending. I hope to see you guys out there again. Please contact me if there's anything, maybe an on-site visitor presentation would be helpful for your company if you're thinking of migrating or going to Civil 3D here in the near future. So last chance, any questions you want to put in the chat window? We are losing users pretty quickly, so I will open this up for discussion as well, and we'll try this over the mic. Thanks, Neil, and everybody. I got everybody's email address as well. So let me go ahead and open this up for a couple of seconds here and see if you guys have any questions. Again, email me. My information is up there. I believe it was up there, right? I might be covering it. It's chadstuder@sterlingsystemsusa.com. I guess I didn't put that up there. Let's go ahead and open it up for a couple quick questions, and I'll try and demonstrate it real quick here for you. Thank you. All right, I believe everybody should be unmuted. If you have any last-minute questions here, looks like the background noise is pretty good. Did anybody have a quick question? Again, feel free to email that to me as well, chadstuder@sterlingsystemsusa.com. All right, well, I appreciate everybody's time, and again, look forward to seeing everybody on the next complimentary webinar training. Thanks a lot.